What's up, YouTube? This video is probably not going to be very good. I'll go and tell you that right now. I'm going to demonstrate, loading some 9mm on my Dillon square deal B. Now, I have my brass. I do everything in 100s. I got 100 primers in the tube. That's easy. You pick them up in this drop tube. You drop them down in here. This is just a weighted rod to help keep them pushed down. It has an alarm when you get low. So I have 100 primers. I have 100 brass in this bin here. I know this is not going to work out very well. This is the bin to catch the completed cartridges. I have 100 bullets counted out in this tray over here. Now, I'm going to try to demonstrate the loading process for anybody that might be interested, but I'm not sure how it's going to work out. Now, before I put my brass, I use a little bit of case lube. It's not completely necessary, but it does help in the sizing die. Now, on this Dillon, like I said, I have the powder already in it. I have the brass, I have the bullets, and I have the primers. I'm using unique powder. That's from Alliant Powders. You need to get you a book or look online. There's several different powders listed. Most of the time around these parts, you have to go with what you can find. This is a 4-pound jug of it. This is usually runs around $20 a pound. There's 7,000 grains of powder in 1 pound. I'm putting around 6 grains in each cartridge, so you can do the math there. On 1 pound of powder, I can load over 1,000 rounds. So that's not very expensive. Now, on this Dillon, you got to make 2 moves every time you pull the handle. When you first start out, you're going to put a brass into station number 1. You're going to pull the handle. That's going to size it and deprime it. The primer is going to fall into a little bucket here under it. And that's all you're going to do. Now, that first brass is sized. And when you push back up on the handle, that's going to put a new primer in this brass. You're going to put another primer in station 1. Another brass in station 1, excuse me. You're going to pull it again. Now, what happened is, the first one we put in moved, it went up and got sized, and it dropped the powder in. Now it's sitting here in station 3 with the primer and with powder. So this time I'm going to have to do 2 things. I'm going to have to put the brass in station 1. I'm going to have to set a bullet on the brass in station 3. Now what you want to do is look in there, make sure that the powder dropped. I've never had a problem with it not dropping, but you always want to look. So now that I have powder in this one in station 3, I've set a bullet on it. It's going to go up and seat the bullet, whereas station 1's going to size and deprime this new brass. Station 2 is going to put drop powder and prime the new brass. So this is it. I got a brass in all 3 stations. In 3 of the 4 stations. Now you always want to push up on this handle at the top. That pushes the primer in. And once you get in a rhythm, it's no problem. Now I'm going to put a bullet every time. I'm going to put a bullet on station 3. I'm going to put a brass in station 1. Now this time, a completed cartridge is going to fall out down this chute into the bucket. And there it is. There's one completed cartridge. Now continue on. Brass, station 1. Bullet, station 3. Every time. Make sure you got your powder. Now, every time one's going to fall out. Stuff's falling off my bench over here. But you're going to put the bullet, check for powder, put the bullet on, put a brass in. Station 4 is going to crimp it. That's all it does. It's going to crimp the bullet and it's going to drop it out. And then once you get in a rhythm, you can really put them out. Now, I'm not going to be able to get going quick while I'm trying to make this video. But it's a simple process. Bullet, empty brass, pull the handle, push the handle back, it's going to stop, push it forward, and you can feel that primer go in there. And if it don't go, after you load a few, you'll be able to tell that it didn't feel right. And then you're pumping them out every time you pull the handle. Brass, bullet, check for powder. Completed cartridge. Push up on the handle. Brass, bullet, pull the handle. Now, when I bought this square deal, I took it out of the box. The only adjustment I made was to get my powder right. That's where you use the scales. The powder is a simple adjustment. You just turn a screw on the powder dispenser, turn a bolt, check it a few times, make sure you're getting a consistent powder. Once you get it set, it's going to put pretty much the same thing in there every time. That's the purpose of buying a quality press instead of a sub-quality press, because this is going to do the same amount of powder every time. But you still want to look before you set the bullet on station 3 and make sure there's powder in there, just in case something went wrong. Now my phone's ringing. Now that's some kind of consumer survey that we're not going to take part of. But like I said, once you get going, you stay focused, you'll get in a rhythm, and it'll be no time at all. You'll be pumping out 100 rounds in about 10 to 15 minutes. But after you get used to it, you'll be able to tell if something don't feel right, and you'll know you got a problem. Now, I've had a problem or two here and there. I've had a primer go in sideways. I don't know why it happened, but I could tell that it wasn't right when I pushed the handle up. But that's no big deal. If you're gonna, once you get used to it, you'll be able to tell. Now, brass, bullet. It's the same thing every time. It's nothing to it. The press does all the work. All you got to do is put the brass in, set the bullet on. Now, if you get going in a good rhythm without trying to talk and make a video, you can pump out some ammo in a quick fashion on this press here. And like I said, I started out on a Lee classic turret press, and there's nothing wrong with that. Lee makes a decent product. They're a little more, I guess, budget friendly, you could say, but they're still capable of producing quality ammo. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying Dillon's the only game in town, but Dillon is the one I chose, and I'm completely happy with it. I'm happy with their customer service. I'm happy with how they stand behind their product. And I'm happy with the ammo that this Square Deal B is producing. I've shot a lot of it, and I ain't never had a problem. Now, there's Hornady, there's RC, BS. It just depends on what kind of reloading you want to do. These square deal Bs will do straight wall handgun cartridges, and that's all they're going to do. But that's fine with me, because that's all I want to do. And the time I've been running my mouth, I've probably loaded 25 rounds. And I'm taking my time. I don't want to get in no hurry. I'm not in a hurry. And I'm just going to make sure. See, I pull it there, it stops. You'll know after you've done a few that means I didn't get this brass in station 1 good enough. So just push it over a little. Keep on going. Don't be intimidated, because it's nothing to be intimidated about. I was intimidated. And I thought about reloading for 2 or 3 years before I actually started doing it. But I'm telling you right now, if you buy a quality press like this Dillon square deal, all you got to do pretty much is take it out of the box, set your your powder measure up to drop the powder, and you get the book. It'll tell you a range. This Unique gives you, on the 9mm, this is 100. This is a 124 grain 9mm. It'll tell you in the book. In the book I have, there's many out there, is this Speer Reloader's Manual number 14. There's many books. You go to the 9mm section, it'll have a list of different kind of powders. I have Unique powder, so I look on there, it says from 5.5 grains to 6.5 grains on a 9mm 124 grain full metal jacket. So you follow the book. You can even find that information online for the powder. Make sure you got your powder measured right. You don't want too much, and you got a pretty good range there from 5.5 to 6.5, so you can adjust it. I was up around 6.3. I could tell my recoil on my little Ruger LC9 was quite a bit more on my loads than it was on the factory loads, so I cut it back to 5.8, and I've been shooting it at 5.8 since then. But it's nothing to be intimidated about. Once you get going, you can really turn out some ammo, and it's a good hobby. It's a fun hobby, and like I said, it's a dying hobby, but it's definitely worthwhile. Sometimes you may not be able to buy ammo in the store, so you just make your own. That's the way you got to do it. If you can't buy it, you make it. That's the American way, I guess, and that's what I'm doing. And the square deal will come out of the box pretty much ready to roll with no adjustments. You pay for it once, it'll pay you back for the next 20, 30, 40 years. So don't be intimidated. Take the first step. I think you'll enjoy it, and you'll have a lot more ammo to shoot at a lot better price on your wallet. So thanks for watching. That's all I got. Sorry about the quality of this video.